She adapts to be this boss, this manager, somebody who manages everything really well and takes charge. She's very likely going to partner up with somebody who is going to allow her to be in that role, to continue that role of being the leader, of being the person who takes charge. And so she might pair up with somebody without realizing who isn't that self sufficient, who doesn't really show up in the ways they say they're going to, who she can't rely on. And that's, the childhood wounding pattern that we see play out in our romantic love. And so that's where there can be a lot of tension. Welcome to True Northing with your hosts, Allison and Kristen. I was listening to John Weiland speak on a podcast recently, and he was saying that the feminine, so he talks about feminine and masculine energies, which live in all of us and then also live within partnership too, regardless of your gender. And he said that feminine energy is expression. So the feminine expresses, whereas masculine energy directs. So the masculine is direction, where the feminine is expression. And he gave an example of a woman saying something to her partner like, "Would you close the window? It's cold in here. Close the window." Something like that. And how that is masculine energy because it's directive or directional. It's giving direction. It's saying take this action. And for somebody trying to be more in their feminine energy, or the more feminine energetic approach would be expressing what she's feeling, which would be in that case, I'm feeling cold right now. And when she says that, I'm feeling cold, the person in their masculine energy, it invites the masculine energy forward, which is to take action. So then her partner might just get right up. Oh, she's cold. I'm going to close the window or change the temperature in here somehow. But if she is expressing in a more masculine way to a masculine partner, and she's saying, I'm cold, please close the window, or would you adjust the temperature? It's too cold in here. That can be off-putting because they're both in their masculine. And really what we look for in partnership is the polarity. And so there's this tension that invites the energies to dance together. I thought that was so interesting. And it had me thinking about myself and my interactions in my life. And I started noticing, I think I have a tendency towards being more directional, that masculine energy. I'm like, hey, you need to do this. Oh, you went in the sauna, you need to drink your electrolytes.
Right. Are you thirsty?
Right. I'm like, how would the feminine say this?
Yeah, how would the feminine say that? I sense thirst in the air.
I sense I sense that you're thirsty. I also recently learned that I have fire in my sign. Which it's funny, I never knew that because I'm a Virgo. And so I've always considered myself very earthy, but I have a lot of fire. And so that actually I've noticed comes out as more of a masculine energy. It's very direct, assertive, just kind of almost unfiltered. I just kind of say what I think needs to happen. What about you?
Well, where is your fire sign? Do you know? Like what? Because
So
you're
what
a
is
Virgo, like
Mhm.
your rising or your moon or your Venus.
I think my moon is Aries. I'm sorry, is fire. Yeah, Aries.
Is it? You've got an Aries moon.
Yeah, I'm gonna have to go back and check. I couldn't believe it when I saw it.
It is so interesting to learn those other parts of us that include all aspects of ourselves. And it's like, oh, I am that way, but I thought I was more this way, or I thought this was what, I lived in. When you were talking about the feminine expresses, it reminds me of that book that we read a couple years back, The Surrendered Wife.
Mhm.
And she suggests in that book to say things like, I really want, these new shoes, or I really want to relax this evening. Like she expresses want and then allows, like if we're looking at a wife husband dynamic and the wife is the one embodying the feminine essence, then she's saying, oh, I want this. And then it invites the husband to step up and step into that role of providing that thing
Yes.
versus the nagging, I need you to do this. And this is what could you please get me this? Or, yeah, that directive, it's more the receptive. And
Right.
I think a lot of women especially are craving that receptivity, which biologically we all are the receptacle, in that being mirrored in that energy of wanting to receive and not direct and lead. And it's a balance, really, of all of it. But as you said, these energies, the masculine and the feminine, live within all of us. And so whoever's embodying that at that time.
Yeah. Yeah, yeah, yeah. Right. Right. I love how you just said that, and that's me. I'm remembering that book, and yeah, and I love how John Weiland, he explained almost like if you have two alphas,
Uh-huh.
it's the group is going to struggle. There's going to be a lot of conflict, right? Because you're both filling the same role or the same energy, bringing the same energy. And so in partnership, regardless of your gender, or sexuality or any of that, we all have the masculine and the feminine, and whatever you are bringing, whatever energy is your dominant energy that you're bringing to the relationship, we need somebody who has the other
Uh-huh.
as they're more dominant, so that we have this polarity. And when we show up, so yeah, as for me as a woman, when I show up with more of that feminine energy in my communication, and I just focus more on expressing whatever I'm experiencing, it invites the masculine in my partner to come online and to show up and take action or direction. I
That
love
feels
that.
so nice just to imagine being like, "I'm cold," and then, like,
Yes.
husband goes, gets a blanket versus
Yeah,
having to ask.
right.
It
He's
feels
like,
so much
"Oh."
nicer, like, "Oh, I can just say what I need," and I think about my children, and they say, "Oh, I'm cold," and I go get them what they need, or I'm like, "Okay, let's shut the window," or whatever it is. That is the response, is to caretake and to be there for them in their expression. Although they would also say, like, "Mom, could you please help close the window," or something, but interesting to notice that I would respond to them just saying, "I want this," or "I feel this." And it
Right, in the
invites
parent-child.
presence.
Right, in the parent-child dynamic, that's such a good example. We tend to take on more of the masculine energy.
Mm.
And he talked about how it can be different in every area of life.
Hmm.
Like sexually, I could be more feminine. At work, I can be more masculine. At home, in my partnership, or day-to-day activities, I could be more whatever, feminine, masculine, a blend of both. But yeah, that you can really pinpoint all the different environments or the different roles you have and how that energy can look different. So anyway, this is just fascinating to me. How are you doing?
Yeah, well, that makes a lot of sense, and I just keep thinking about the book, The Surrendered Wife, because she had said, like, she goes to work, she puts on this masculine directive front, and then she comes home and she relaxes, and she's in her feminine, and that because that's the relationship that she wants to have with her husband. And when you're talking about this alpha dynamic and two alphas in the house, it just makes me think like relationships are not meant to be competition. We're meant to complement each other and to collaborate. And collaboration doesn't mean sameness, it means we each have gifts and we're each embodying those gifts to support the relationship and to support one another. And so we're not meant to be in the same role or fighting for direction. And there's a different power for each one. There's a different gift for each one. And so harnessing that and working together.
Oh, yeah. Both so powerful and important in their own way. It's not at all about, like, when I think alpha, it's not at all about dominance or one being stronger or better than the other. The feminine energy is so powerful and strong. I also heard, or maybe it was on Instagram, I saw a post that said, that was speaking to the difference between men's nervous systems and women's nervous systems, and that men are action oriented, meaning when they do good, they feel good. And women are relationally oriented. So when they feel good, they do good. And just how different that is.
Mm, totally right. I remember seeing something like that too of nervous system regulation being different for men and women, and similar to what you just said, the masculine being more action oriented, or and then feminine, I think you even shared this with me, being more connection oriented. And it makes me think of scientific studies, even like the fight or flight being done on men and not having as much scientific literature about women's unique response. And actually, like, we're have some sameness, but also difference in health needs, in nervous system regulation needs, in relationships, like everything. We're in sleep, in fasting, like all of these kind of differences that we have. And we're discovering so much more of, yeah, how women have unique ways of operating and men do too, and how we honor both of those and don't need sameness. Because yeah, even like, oh, what was it? It was something about cold plunging and how that helps men's nervous system regulate. Like something about that extreme action is regulating for men, but it's kind of opposite for women.
I
Like
have
women
heard that.
need ease and softness, and men need to kind of like use up their energy.
And what I read is that men regulate through dopamine hits. So,
Mm,
which we also get from tasks and action, completing things, getting things done, where women regulate through oxytocin, which we get from, as you were saying, connection, like a
mm.
hug, physical touch, a holding, bonding.
Do you find that to be true for yourself?
Oh, yeah,
Yeah.
I do. If I am stressed, tired, whatever it is, yeah, if I'm dysregulated, I need holding, physical touch from a safe person, right? Somebody who makes me feel relaxed and safe is so powerful for me. I can't do words. I can't do, sometimes I can't do action. I can't, like, I just need to be held
Mhm.
and held for long enough. It's got to be like heart to heart with deep breaths, maybe some eye gazing, holding for at least 30 seconds. And then I can start to feel my nervous system relax.
This kind of makes me laugh because I think of like arguments between men and women are like, I just want to be seen and held and loved for who I am, exactly where I am in everything that's coming up right now. And men are like, I've got the solutions. This is what we got to do. No, like, we're not just going to stay in this. We got to move it. We got to shake it. We got to, and they bump up against each other. And I just think it's such a classic, um, I don't want to say disconnection, but like where there's like the missing piece of understanding for what each one needs and what works. It's like, oh, okay, like you're having a tough time. I don't need, for a man to a woman, like you're having a tough time. Like I'm just going to hold you and be here with you. Um, and then, yeah, maybe realizing with men, they need something different. They need to go let it out or be in their solution. They don't want to be in their feelings. And, of course, each person is different, but I'm just thinking of this classic argument that I hear and this classic need that I hear, um, or this moment of friction, really.
So classic, right? That you're always trying to fix it. You're always trying to solve it. Stop trying to fix it. Just let me feel my feelings. Just hear me. So classic. Yes. 100%.
Connect, connect, connect. Do. It's like I got the answer for you. You just need to do this. And yeah, maybe what we're learning is this basic need that's just different for each one of us. I love that.
Yeah, me too. Did you know that the number one predictor of your health and longevity is the quality of your relationships? If you've been feeling stuck in repeating patterns or wondering why certain dynamics keep showing up, today's sponsor might have the clarity you've been looking for. Interconnected Love offers Unlock Your Relationship Roadmap, an online course designed to help you uncover the link between childhood wounding and the personality traits and behaviors that often create tension in relationships. The course walks you through the deeper why behind patterns and gives you a clear path toward healing. And most people complete the course in 2 to 3 hours. If you're ready to strengthen your relationships from the inside out, visit interconnectedlove.com to learn more. We're talking about how in the Surrendered Wife book, the author said that she goes to work and it sounds like is more in her masculine energy and takes care of business, right? Gets stuff done. And then comes home and relaxes more into her feminine energy.
Mhm.
And that is something I see a lot. I work a lot with couples and I often see when there is that dynamic of the female identifying partner being maybe more successful or the breadwinner, um, where career is really important and she goes to the work and she's the boss and gets things done. Maybe in childhood, there might have been wounding around not being able to rely on other people. And so she is super self sufficient, independent, make things happen on her own, don't wait for anybody else. And then where there can be tension in the couple is she'll come home and say, maybe she doesn't have these words, but the problem is she just wants somebody else to take care of things. She just wants the partner to take care of these pieces, right? I want to come home and I don't want to have to then figure out what everybody needs and what needs to happen next and check in about these tasks and manage these other things. And it is, so I'm now thinking about it as this masculine energy that takes action, that is assertive, that she doesn't have to come home and direct and
Mhm.
say, hey, what's happening with this? Hey, have you looked into this thing that we talked about? Hey, have you done? And often that translates. If her wounding is you cannot rely on other people and you must be totally self-reliant and you can't rely on people around you. So when you're a kid, you can't rely on the adults to be reliable, to show up, to manage the household effectively. Maybe money was a problem. There was chaos, whatever it was. Then she grows up and she adapts to be this boss, this manager, somebody who manages everything really well and takes charge. She's very likely going to partner up with somebody who is going to allow her to be in that role, to continue that role of
Mhm.
being the leader, of being the person who takes charge. And so she might pair up with somebody without realizing who isn't that self sufficient, who doesn't really show up in the ways they say they're going to, who she can't rely on. And that's, the childhood wounding pattern that we see play out in our romantic love. And so that's where there can be a lot of tension, where she might say, okay, I can go to work. I love my job. I love my career. I've worked hard to be here. I'm going to go. I'm going to make a lot of money. But then I want to come home and I want to kick my shoes off and relax. And I need you, my partner, to show up in all these other ways. And when I'm overwhelmed because I'm taking care of all these things and maybe maybe me and my friend and I are having a falling out, and maybe someone in my family is sick. There's added stressors, and I'm struggling to manage it all right now.
Mhm.
Then I really need the partner to take the lead and step up with extra support
Mhm.
because she can't do it all. And when she's feeling taxed, when she's past her limit or feeling tender,
Mhm.
which often all happens at the same time, is really when that masculine energy she needs the masculine to show up to
Mhm.
say, you can quiet your mind. You don't have to think about dinner. You just rest, and I will tend to these things on the to-do list, and you don't even have to think about it.
Mhm. I think the masculine and the feminine crave the same thing from the feminine, which is softness and surrender and tenderness. And the amazing thing about women is that we can do it all. We can, handle all the things and keep track of all the tasks, and we can do so much. But in doing all of that, it doesn't lend to that softness and surrender that both the masculine and the feminine are seeking. Which there's so many gifts in that for her, this, like, unconditional love and overflowing nurturance and gentleness and care and warmth. Like, I think about, like, the mother's bosom, like, bring you on in. And she can't tap into that when she's in her do and handle everything. And so when you talk about, like, just for the masculine to show up is mutually beneficial. It's not like, "Oh, we're just, um, over here not doing anything." It's like, "Oh, I want to be able to tap into this well of softness so that
Yes.
I see that." Yeah.
Yes. Great point. And often the complaint on the other side, if she is living in her masculine
Mhm.
in all areas, then right, she cannot tap into the softness that the masculine really craves. And so then that's his complaint is, why don't you want to have sex with me?
Mhm.
We're hardly having any sex. You're not physically affectionate. Often sex is the big one, but yeah. And he's like, why isn't this happening? And the
Mhm.
reason is because she is not able to soften.
Mhm.
She's
Nagging.
in, sh- she's in the driver's seat. She's in go mode. She cannot tap in to her body, to her desire. She can't soften, let her guard down.
Mhm.
And of course, it's a dance because if she grew accustomed to being in the driver's seat and in control of all areas of life, then that's where she's comfortable. And so she is bringing this energy that doesn't leave space for him to step into his masculine and drive because she's in the masculine. And this is where we have the two, right? They're both competing
Mhm.
for the same role. And so he relaxes back into his feminine and he just is like, okay, well, I'm just going to sit back and wait for you to show up and tell me what needs to happen, or you just take charge and take care of things for me, for us. And of course she doesn't like that. She doesn't find that attractive.
Mhm.
Um so she kind of discourages him in that way, and it creates this imbalance, and then he's not doing the things, and so she can't it reinforces the fact that she can't rely on him to do those things.
Mhm.
And so it's the chicken or the egg. You have to figure out she has to find ways to relax back a little bit. They have to come to a mutual agreement where
Mhm.
they find little small things or areas where she can relax back, and he's going to show up. He's going to step up and take the action, and she's just going to trust. She's going to let him take whatever action he wants to take, right? And she's not going to be critical of it. She's not going to try to direct him in any way. She's just going to let go of the reins. And it's a major adjustment to find that balance for both people can be really
Mhm,
challenging and take a lot of time and tenderness.
mhm. Well, it's really been so reflected in our culture with women of this taking on of so many roles in this boss babe, which I think is amazing, and there's room for all of it. And, um, when it comes to your relationship, maybe you don't wanna be a boss babe. Maybe you wanna be a soft babe, you know? Maybe you want to feel the holding of the masculine in there, and I think about what we were talking about earlier in the regulation. For men, it is actually regulating to do, and for women, it's regulating the connection. And so I think about the men who've gone into their softness and are not directive and are not doing, perhaps that's quite dysregulating for them and not fulfilling what they need to be in their full essence and health and strength and wellness and expression. And it is, as you mentioned, it's a big shift to trust, to lean back, to pull back the reins, and to witness and soften and be grateful for the leadership that is showing up in the book. The Surrendered Wife, she says it's a process. It takes time, but for women to really focus on, and this brings up another point that you and I have talked about before of like women being in service or the feminine being in service to their joy and
Mhm.
their bliss and their goodness. And like we all love a radiant woman. We all love, of course, unless we have like something in the way that's making us not be open or, jealousy or whatever it is that's making somebody feel insecure. But like a radiant woman is a gift, regardless of age. Like when she is in her full embodiment of her inner and outer beauty, it's something to behold. And she is that when she is in service to her feminine and her goodness and her wants and her desire and her pleasure and all of that. And so orienting the direction into that, into those practices is what we really want. And we want to be supportive in those things and connecting in those things.
And a man, even a man who's really strong in his masculine, say he's really good at tasks and getting things done and taking action and managing all these things, he may also be unfulfilled if he's super out of balance and is not at all in touch with his feminine, because all
Mhm,
of us need the balance of both. And so
mhm,
maybe that man is very strong in the masculine area but never allows himself to feel or express
mhm,
what he's feeling or
mhm,
express what he's needing, and
mhm,
so he's always shutting down and denying his wants, his needs, his feelings, and is just only his only mode is go mode, is
mhm,
action mode.
mhm,
That can create a lot of resentment towards his partner and a lot of stress and just a lack of ease because he is out of balance. So I love the idea of noticing our own masculine and feminine energy in every area of life. How do I show up here? How in touch am I with my masculine, with my direction, action oriented part? And how in touch am I with my more expressive, energetic part?
mhm.
And I really like thinking about it. I was thinking about sexually. I'm like, how do I show yeah, how are my energies sexually? Like, what am I bringing to the bedroom?
Mm, mhm,
Right? So there's two parts I thought about. The person who maybe carries a lot of shame. Maybe there was maybe there was sexual trauma or body shame that shows up in the bedroom. She might appear to be in her feminine, like maybe she's just lying there receiving and not taking action, letting him, if she's with the male partner, letting him take the lead And so outwardly, you're like, oh, he's in the masculine, she's in the feminine.
Mm.
But something John Weiland was talking about as well was that the masculine energy is also awareness.
Mm.
It's being the observer.
Hmm.
And so that same woman who appears to be in her feminine because she's just totally relaxed back and is like a receptacle, she might actually be majorly in her masculine if she's in her mind during
Mhm.
sex.
Mm.
If she's observing herself, what does my body look like? What is he thinking about me? She's not in her experience, in what she's
Yeah.
feeling and sensing and experiencing in her body, which would be the feminine. She's in her mind and observing. So that would be the masculine. So it's so interesting to think about it. Maybe I embody the feminine energy sexually where I really like my partner to take charge more and kind of direct the sex. But maybe there are times, and especially when I think historically, where I was super in my head
Mm.
and brought this masculine awareness rather than experiencing.
Fascinating to think about it that way and to view it that way, of this receiving through the senses and receiving through the body, receiving through the full receiving of your partner and the experience versus the thoughts and, yeah, not really being in your body or somebody not being in their body. There's a couple things that I want to unpack regarding masculine and feminine that have come up, just a couple things that I've reflected on that I've heard before, and so curious to talk to you about it. Two things specifically. One is this concept that I've heard that men should go to other men when they have stuff coming up. They should go and talk to their brothers or their therapist or, confided person. They should not go to their women because that puts the women in like this caretaker mother mode. And so that was, but women can go to men because that's their like expressive. And so I'd like to talk about that a little bit.
Yeah.
And then the other, I'm just going to kind of, we can put a pin in this other one is, we hear, and we've talked about this, of women being in the mother role and, maybe men not searching for a wife, but searching for a mother. And the opposite can be true too, where a woman is maybe really in her little girl and is not looking for a husband, but is looking for a caretaker. And so kind of putting a pin in this idea of like, how do we've talked about before how you can notice the difference with men showing up and meeting and being a husband versus looking for a mother, and want to talk about the opposite a bit too. Since we're on this topic of like feminine energy, what is like the healthy expression of that, and maybe more of a shadowy aspect that we can look for as well.
Mm. Okay, so not talking to the recommendation you're referring to is that men should not talk to their female or feminine partner
Hmm.
about their feelings or their
Hmm.
emotional issues
Yes. What are your thoughts?
because it puts her
Hmm.
in a mothering or right? A mothering or nurturing role.
Right. That, or
Caretaking.
she can start to feel less of that strong leading presence from him. Like, oh, I'm now in this kind of caretaking your wounds in this way versus you being like a leader and being able to handle your own stuff, which, yeah, I'm really curious your thoughts about this.
Yeah. Certainly there's been lots of opportunities in relationship, lots of experiences I've had where I was receiving my partner's emotional turmoil.
Mhm,
And yes, I want to know that you are able to acknowledge your feelings.
mhm,
I want to hear you being able to clearly identify and express what
mhm,
you're feeling.
mhm,
And that ties into awareness. So I think it depends how it's being delivered.
mhm,
And if he is kind of just it comes up and he's sharing, yeah, this is what's going on for me. This is how I feel about it. Maybe I noticed this come up for me. I noticed I'm kind of struggling with this piece. So he's talking about it with awareness rather than uncontained
mm,
emotion, like he's drowning in it. And I have to be his life vest.
mhm,
He's like, help, I'm stuck, I'm drowning. I'm so overwhelmed, I don't know what to do. Or the situation is like, I mean, I can think about a man who is really, really overwhelmed and stressed and is not managing his
mhm,
emotions well.
mhm,
I don't love that.
mhm,
Energetically, yeah, I can see what you're talking about. It
mhm,
it it is kind of, I mean, just to put it like very superficially, a turn off. It's
mhm,
like, ooh, yeah, you cannot manage this. And there's a feeling of, okay, I have to be the one to manage. I have to be the caretaker here.
mm,
And I don't really want to have to do that. And it also makes me feel like I can't rely on you.
mm,
I can't trust you to be that strong, stable. You've used the word scaffolding, that
mm,
masculine energy.
mhm,
So yeah, this makes sense. The I want to see, and we've talked about this before, awareness,
mm,
self-awareness. When men can say, this is my wounding from childhood, this is what I needed, and this is what I didn't get, and this is how I cope, and this is how I show up, and this is how it's affecting me. This is my shadow. Like they know themselves.
mhm,
They have the self-awareness and the personal responsibility.
mhm,
That is a yes for
mhm,
me.
mhm,
But he has to be able to know what to do with it,
mhm,
which can be talking to his therapist, talking
mhm,
to his best friend, finding whatever resources he needs. He's got it managed. He can take care of it, and I don't have to manage it for him.
mhm. Right. You don't have to sew him back together or help build him back together. Like he's like has that awareness, knows what's affecting him, knows his resources and actively seeks resources to support him. And it'd be different if he was like, I'm having the awareness of like, I'm having a struggle right now. I acknowledge this. This is showing up in this way for me right now. I'm feeling this way, but not kind of like dumping maybe and I don't know what to do or I mean, of course he could say I don't know what to do, but in the sense of just it's spilling out everywhere. And as you mentioned, that it can be a turnoff of like, oh, maybe that's not that lacks self-awareness or that lacks a certain maybe containment or maturity. And I don't want to sound l- like inhumane, I guess, because it's like, of course, we want to be there. We are there for our people. And there are moments, I mean, big moments in life where it's natural that there would be a falling apart. I think we're talking about kind of in general a pattern of that spilling over in non-containment and not having the awareness or the resources available.
Absolutely. I think about something else I see in the therapy space. is the the woman will complain about her male partner complaining a lot about work, coming home every day. "Ugh, I hate my job. My boss is killing me. I'm so stressed." Rinse, repeat every day or very often, right? He's struggling. She sees him reaching for the third bottle of beer, can of beer. He's not exercising. He's binge watching whatever it is until midnight, even though he's exhausted, right? He's not taking care of himself. He's not coping well. He's in a stressful situation and nothing is changing. So it's one thing to have a day, a week, maybe a month, maybe there's some big project or, right? Life is hard right now. My job is hard right now. And I have to just get through it. And I might complain more than normal or whatever, you know, watch more TV than normal, cope however I cope. But she can't stand it when
Mhm.
he is unable to find a solution to the problem. He can acknowledge that it's a problem, so that's good, but he's not doing anything to change it. And so he's not in that action-oriented masculine energy that says, "Okay, he's going through it. He can see there's a problem here." And what she really needs is him to recognize that it's not manageable as it is, or that something has to shift. He has to do something different to get out of this. Don't come to me day in and day out complaining about a situation and then do nothing to change it.
Mm. That really reminds me of that nervous system regulation piece of the masculine taking action to regulate themselves and being in that action versus the expression. Like if they're coming home every day and being like, "This sucks, I'm cold at work," whatever it is, then it really kind of reverses the roles a bit into that feminine. And I think for the woman who's maybe wanting to be in her feminine, it's just like, no, like, go take action because maybe she's picking up on that regulation piece and she doesn't want to be in the direction unconsciously or consciously because that brings her out of her regulation. And so if we're going back to these concepts in relationships that we've talked about of, each person in their role and what's needed in the relationship, then if one of them is feeling like this isn't quite right, like this isn't healthy, need you to kind of be in your lane in doing what helps you be regulated.
Yes.
Mhm. Yeah, because the woman, of course, wants to see her man in his full expression in leadership and embodiment and regulation. Like, there's nothing more that we want. I mean, besides being held and able to be in the soft feminine. Um, but we're not going to get there when a man is not holding his peace. And same goes for women, for her knowing how she's being with herself and nurturing herself. We each have our own ways to do that.
He can be in his feelings and struggling and expressing his struggle or his emotions. But she needs to know that he can handle that. Whatever it is
Mm,
that he's working through, he can hold it.
mhm,
And he's not going to get stuck there or drown there for
mhm,
very long. He can
mhm,
still show up. He can access whatever help he needs, right? He can hold it,
Mhm.
which is also a masculine piece is the holding, the ability to hold all all of it, all of
Mhm.
her.
Mhm. Mhm. Yeah, 'cause she is the ocean. Which I guess brings me to then this pin in the other concept to explore is like the healthy expression of a feminine energy, and specifically in regards to being held or being able to be in her softness and receptivity. Because I think of a healthy expression of that and a not so healthy expression of that, where the healthy expression is she is embodied in her essence. She knows who she is. She knows her value. She knows what connects her. She knows um, what brings her joy and pleasure, and she nurtures herself. And an unhealthy expression is the woman who also lacks self awareness and is simply wanting to be filled up by somebody else constantly and has no self awareness of her um, maybe moods or expressions and how that can be flooding or taxing for others. What do
It
you
feels like
think of that?
it
Yeah.
feels like we're just talking about adulting. I
Yeah.
mean,
I
just
don't think human.
to be a functional adult,
Yeah.
you have to have a relationship with yourself.
Right.
You have to be aware of yourself,
Mhm.
and you have to be able to manage yourself
Mhm.
and stay regulated.
Mhm. Yeah, and not expect anybody else to complete you or fill you up, but that you can be held and witnessed and loved and nurtured in the range of who you are.
Yeah, and the co-regulation is so important. I mean, if she didn't grow up with parents who had regulated nervous systems or could manage their own emotions, and she never really experienced that attunement from other people, the co-regulation is very important in adult love. I mean, it's important for all of us. That's just how we operate, right?
Mhm.
Our nervous systems are constantly talking to each other, and we we need that bonding and um, to feel the safety of connection. It's so life-giving. And so it's not, you know, you it's not healthy to look to your partner, to look outward for that connection or that regulation. A level of that is necessary to stay regulated long term, to
Mhm.
experience that connection. I think if she's with somebody that she can't ever rely on to hold her physically or give a hug and where they can kind of regulate together, then she's going to have challenges managing herself long term
Mhm.
uh, with a healthy nervous system. But yeah, the ability to connect to yourself as well, primarily, probably, to have that awareness and identify what is needed. I guess that feels like I'm thinking about the masculine and the feminine. And so even, yeah, and we're talking about, you're asking about healthy feminine energy.
Yeah, and what, if women if I'm going to talk in women and men, if women get the ick by men not being self-aware and dumping their experience and wanting containment from the woman, what are men getting the ick about?
A woman in her masculine too much.
Yeah, being
A woman
nagging,
being yep,
directive.
nagging, being too directive, telling him what to do,
Mhm.
not giving him the space to take his own action, not giving him the space to direct or handle things on his own.
Mhm. Gosh, they go together perfectly.
They go together.
We
Yeah.
want the same thing, everybody, after all. Yeah. I read recently that there was a study, maybe it was Harvard, but that showed a key piece more than anything in a healthy life is healthy relationships. More than diet, more than exercise is healthy relationships.
Mhm.
And people are so desiring to know how to relate healthfully in relationships, what they need, how they can show up for their partner, what the relationship needs. And I think this conversation is a key piece of that, along with everything else that you do and teach and embody in your work. And I know that once I saw that, it really made a lot of sense because you see people in their older age and they're like, I've smoked my whole life, but they've got good people around them. And it just goes to show how essential relationships and co-regulation and figuring this piece out is.
Yep. All right, everyone. This was a fun conversation. We hope you enjoyed it. And we look forward to seeing you next time.
Thank you, everyone. Go ahead and like and subscribe and follow and share this with whoever you think might be interested.